The icy embrace of Europa concealed secrets that few dared to imagine. Under a sky laced with shifting auroras, the remote human outposts clung to the fractured moon like whispers of defiance. Here, amid the stark silence of glacial plains and hidden subterranean lakes, a fragile hope flickered, a hope that defied the galaxy's deep-seated prejudice that humans were inherently weak. Dr. Elena Ramirez stood at the edge of the colony's observation deck, her eyes tracing the endless, frozen horizon. The biting wind, carrying the faint scent of mineral dust and ancient ice, seemed to murmur tales of survival against insurmountable odds. Though the colony's structures were modest compared to the grandeur of Earth's bustling metropolises, each dome and corridor pulsed with the raw energy of human determination. Every light that flickered in the labyrinth of tunnels was a testament to the audacity of life thriving in an alien wilderness. Elena's past as a xenobiologist had endowed her with a profound respect for the mysteries of life, no matter how hidden or unexpected. But it was her newfound role as a military strategist, a mantle reluctantly accepted as the weight of survival pressed down on her shoulders, that now defined her. In her heart, she carried the collective hopes of her people, aware that each decision could mean the difference between oblivion and resurgence. Inside the central command hub, hushed conversations melded with the hum of advanced equipment. The air was thick with anticipation and underlying tension. Seasoned technicians and scientists moved with purpose, their every action a silent rebellion against the fate written in the stars. Elena moved among them, her presence a silent reassurance, her mind already racing through contingency plans. The colony had been built in defiance of galactic assumptions, a small outpost where the weak were never meant to be, where every setback was a stepping stone towards proving their worth. Yet, as she surveyed the frozen expanse, Elena felt a chill deeper than the frigid air, a nagging reminder of the skepticism that had long plagued humanity. Across the universe, the alien empires had mocked and dismissed human resilience, dismissing them as a race doomed to crumble under the weight of their own frailties. But here, in the relentless cold of Europa, every heartbeat was a declaration of strength. Every scientific breakthrough, every painstaking repair of an aging reactor, and every shared story of survival was a silent rebuke to those who underestimated them. As twilight bled into the icy night, the outpost transformed. The silence was punctuated by the rhythmic thrum of machinery and the soft murmur of determined voices. In the distance, the colossal silhouette of an abandoned research facility hinted at both past triumphs and long-forgotten dangers. Elena's gaze hardened with resolve. She knew that beyond the deceptive calm, forces stirred that would soon challenge their every assumption. The historical prejudice that painted humans as fragile was a lie, one that she was determined to shatter. In that moment of quiet reflection, standing on the precipice of a frozen frontier, Elena Ramirez embodied the paradox of her people, delicate yet unyielding, underestimated yet fiercely resolute. The shadows over Europa whispered of impending trials, but they also carried the promise of transformation, a promise that would ignite a fire capable of warming even the coldest void. Deep beneath Europa's icy surface, where the hum of life meshed with the steady pulse of survival, a quiet unrest began to stir. Within the labyrinthine corridors of the central command hub, hushed voices and furtive glances filled the air as if the very walls whispered secrets of an approaching calamity. The colony was no longer merely a sanctuary against the harsh elements. It had become the nucleus of a burgeoning resistance, where every scientist, technician, and soldier wrestled with the dual weight of hope and dread. In a dimly lit strategy room, maps and holographic projections danced across the walls, outlining the delicate network of tunnels and outposts that stretched across Europa's frozen expanse. Elena Ramirez stood at the helm, her eyes narrowing at the flickering signals that hinted at anomalies far beyond the routine sensor readings. What began as unexplained blips soon escalated into an irregular pattern, a subtle prelude to something far more ominous than mere cosmic interference. Outside, the barren landscape of Europa bore the scars of centuries of isolation, its craggy ice formations and deep fissures echoing the relentless struggle for existence. Yet even here, there was beauty in the starkness. a reminder of nature's unyielding will. The colony's inhabitants had carved a semblance of life from this inhospitable domain, their collective ingenuity a silent rebellion against the despair that could have easily claimed them. As the hours ticked by, the colony's mood shifted from cautious optimism to a charged expectancy, as if every heartbeat contributed to a growing drumroll of fate. In the communal meeting hall, leaders from every faction of the colony gathered around a makeshift conference table. Their voices overlapped, a blend of urgent theories and pragmatic concerns. "It's as if something is out there, testing us, waiting," murmured an elder engineer, his tone tempered by years of experience yet laced with a rare note of anxiety. Across the table, younger technicians exchanged knowing looks, their unspoken fears reflecting the same question. What did these erratic signals portend? The debate took on a life of its own. Some argued that the anomalies were nothing more than natural phenomena, glacial shifts, or electromagnetic echoes from Europa's hidden ocean depths. Others, more wary and battle-hardened, insisted that the signals bore the unmistakable signature of an approaching threat, a harbinger of conflict that could shatter their precarious peace. Elena listened intently, her mind already navigating through the labyrinth of possibilities. Every opinion was weighed against her own hard-earned experience, a calculus that demanded both scientific rigor and military foresight. Amid the charged atmosphere, a new piece of intelligence arrived, a coded transmission intercepted by the colony's deep space communication array. The message, fragmented and cloaked in layers of cryptic data, hinted at movements beyond the fringes of their known sectors. It was not a direct threat, but its implications were undeniable. The notion of an external force probing the outer boundaries of human resilience sent ripples of alarm through the assembly. The idea that the silent universe was no longer indifferent, but actively observing, unsettled even the most stoic among them. As night deepened and the frozen landscape glistened under the distant light of Europa's sun, the colony transformed into a hive of subdued activity. Every face in the command center was etched with determination and worry in equal measure. In whispered corridors, theories were shared, strategies devised, and the past, filled with conquests and failures, served as both lesson and omen. In the quiet, charged moments before sleep claimed even the restless minds, Elena found herself alone in a small observation chamber. She gazed out over the horizon, where the horizon blurred the line between ice and sky, pondering the unknown forces gathering in the void. The storm was not yet upon them, but the murmurs had begun, a symphony of potential chaos that promised to challenge every preconception about their place in the universe. Every shadow seemed to echo with the possibility of conflict, and every distant light carried the weight of an unseen enemy. In that poignant silence, the colony's fragile hope mingled with a resolve as cold and relentless as Europa's frozen heart. The impending storm was no longer a distant rumor. It was a call to arms, a prelude to the trials that would soon redefine the essence of what it meant to be human. The silence of routine was shattered on a cold, unforgiving Europa morning when the heavens themselves seemed to cry out in alarm. Without warning, distant tremors rippled through the icy crust, a seismic prelude to chaos. At first, it was merely a tremor that barely disturbed the calm, a gentle vibration underfoot. But within minutes, the quiet outpost was plunged into pandemonium as the first salvo of the alien assault descended upon the outer colony. Alarms blared through the corridors of the command hub, reverberating off metal walls and mingling with the frantic shouts of startled inhabitants. Elena Ramirez, now firmly in command, rushed to the panoramic sensor array where the incoming threat unfolded in stark, unyielding detail. The display revealed a fleet of dark, angular craft, slicing through Europa's thin atmosphere like predatory shadows. Their sleek design and ominous formation left little doubt. These were not visitors bearing peace, but invaders determined to assert their dominance. In the midst of the unfolding disaster, Elena's mind raced with calculations and countermeasures. The initial strike was precise, a surgical strike aimed at crippling the outpost's energy grid and sowing terror among the defenders. Explosions erupted along the colony's periphery, throwing shards of ice and metal into the air, as plumes of freezing dust obscured the horizon. The once still surface of Europa became a battlefield, scarred by the violent impact of alien technology meeting human ingenuity. Inside the command center, Elena's calm, steely determination became a beacon for those around her. "All units, to your battle stations," she commanded, her voice slicing through the chaos with unwavering authority. Her eyes, steeled with resolve, flicked across the room as she coordinated a rapid response. Technicians scrambled to recalibrate defenses, while soldiers and engineers alike raced to fortify makeshift barriers against an enemy that relied on cold, calculated precision. Amid the cacophony of emergency protocols and shattering explosions, a group of soldiers emerged from the central corridor, armed with makeshift weapons and an unbreakable will to fight. Their breaths formed ghostly clouds in the freezing air as they advanced toward the epicenter of the attack, their faces illuminated by the erratic dance of emergency lights. Each step was a defiant challenge to the invaders, each heartbeat a drum of resistance in the frozen silence of space. As the alien craft unleashed another wave of precision strikes, Elena observed the unfolding chaos with a mixture of scientific curiosity and tactical acumen. The attackers were relentless, their technology far surpassing the makeshift defenses of the outpost. Yet, as she watched the determined human figures rally under her command, a quiet hope rekindled. The invasion, though devastating in its ferocity, revealed vulnerabilities in the alien approach, moments of hesitation, miscalculations that could be exploited. Through the static of shattered communications and the roar of distant explosions, Elena's voice remained a constant, guiding presence. "Hold the line. Use the terrain to our advantage," she urged, her commands precise and unyielding. In that critical moment, every human in the command center, every soldier braving the alien onslaught, became part of a larger, defiant tapestry of resistance. Their struggle was not just for survival, but for the very identity of a people long dismissed as frail and inconsequential. As the initial chaos began to subside into a grim tableau of battle-worn determination, Elena stood at the nexus of human ingenuity and raw emotion. In the flickering shadows cast by explosions against the ice, she saw not just destruction, but the birth of a renewed resolve. The first strike had come with all the force of a long-anticipated reckoning, a warning that the galaxy's deep-seated prejudices against humanity were about to be irrevocably rewritten. Every shudder of the icy ground, every spark of defiance in the eyes of her compatriots, echoed the unspoken promise. The fight for survival had only just begun, and the true strength of humanity would emerge from the crucible of this very assault. In the wake of the initial assault, the once cohesive outpost began to reveal its hidden fissures. As the alien threat pushed humanity to its limits, differences in strategy and survival instincts came sharply into focus. Deep within the subterranean corridors of the command hub, Elena gathered her closest advisors in a makeshift war room, its walls plastered with holographic maps of Europa's labyrinthine terrain. "We must harness every advantage this frozen world offers us," Elena declared, her tone both urgent and resolute. Around her, a cadre of engineers, military tacticians, and seasoned scientists exchanged glances that betrayed both hope and dissent. The idea of using the moon's natural ice tunnels and treacherous crevices as ambush sites was innovative, yet not all were convinced. Dr. Malik, an old-school engineer with decades of experience, leaned forward with a skeptical frown. "It's a clever ploy, Elena, but do we have the resources to reconfigure our systems mid-battle? Our defenses are already stretched thin." His voice, seasoned by past crises, resonated with the weight of hard-earned wisdom. A younger tactician, Sarah, countered with youthful fervor. "Innovation is exactly what we need. If we continue to cling to outdated protocols, we'll only hasten our downfall. The enemy thinks they can predict our every move. Let's prove them wrong." Her words sparked a murmur of agreement, yet the room remained divided. Outside, the icy winds carried the sounds of sporadic skirmishes, a reminder that while the debates within were intellectual battles, a far more tangible war was waged on the surface. Elena's mind churned with the challenge of reconciling divergent views. The human spirit, she realized, was as fractured as it was resilient. Every disagreement, Every heated debate was a reflection of the high stakes they all faced. Rising from her seat, Elena paced before a vast digital display that illuminated Europa's jagged surface. Our strength lies not just in our technology, but in our capacity to adapt under pressure. We can rig automated defenses in the ice tunnels, create false signals to mislead the alien sensors, and use the very landscape against them. Her voice softened momentarily as she recalled the sacrifices that had brought them to this moment, each loss a somber reminder of their collective vulnerability. Yet, even as innovative plans took shape on the screen, whispers of internal strife echoed through the corridors. A faction of officers, weary from relentless conflict, argued over resource allocation and command structure. Heated exchanges broke out in the hallways, a stark juxtaposition to the disciplined efficiency demanded by war. In one cramped briefing room, heated voices bled into desperate pleas. "We need unity," a sergeant shouted, his eyes brimming with both determination and frustration. "This bickering is our enemy's greatest gift." Elena's resolve hardened with every discordant note. She convened one-on-one sessions with key dissenters, urging them to see beyond personal grievances to the larger, existential threat. "We're not here to win a petty internal conflict," she reminded them, her words measured but forceful. "Every second we waste fighting among ourselves is another moment the enemy closes in." As the night deepened, a new sense of purpose began to weave itself through the ranks. In the makeshift labs and command centers, scientists and soldiers collaborated, melding tactical ingenuity with raw creativity. The colony's engineers, once divided by bureaucratic squabbles, now labored side by side to modify old equipment into unorthodox weapons. The air was charged with an electric mixture of anxiety and anticipation, a living testament to the dual nature of humanity, fragile in discord, yet capable of sublime innovation when united. The chapter closed on a poignant note as Elena, alone in her private quarters, surveyed the star-studded darkness beyond the reinforced window. In the silence, she felt both the weight of internal fractures and the stirring of a newfound resolve. The battle against an external enemy was only half the war. The other half would be fought within their hearts and minds. In that fragile moment, Elena silently vowed that humanity's ingenuity would triumph over both the alien invaders and the internal strife that threatened to tear them apart. As the echoes of internal discord began to fade, a new, more formidable threat surged into focus. An orchestrated alien counterattack that would test every fiber of human resolve. The tranquility following the initial strike was deceptive, a brief lull in a storm that was far from over. High above Europa's frostbitten surface, dark shapes reassembled in a precision that belied their earlier miscalculations, their movements a sinister ballet choreographed to perfection. Deep in the command hub, Elena's gaze fixated on the expansive holographic map that tracked the enemy's renewed positions. The alien fleet, once a nebulous threat, now materialized into a vast and menacing force. Commander Vrotha's strategy was unmistakable, a calculated escalation, a counteroffensive designed to crush the budding human resistance and restore the invaders' arrogant narrative of superiority. In the tense stillness of the control room, the atmosphere thickened with a mix of apprehension and determination. Elena's voice, resolute and unyielding, broke the silence. "We anticipated a reaction," she said, her tone measured yet edged with urgency. "Our scouts reported unexpected mobilizations near the polar ridge. This isn't a retreat, it's a recalibration of their assault." As alarms rang out once more, echoing off the cold, metallic walls, the humans scrambled into defensive positions. In corridors lit by the stark glow of emergency lights, soldiers checked their gear and exchanged glances that flickered with the raw determination of those who had nothing left to lose. Every heartbeat resonated like a drum of war, heralding the coming clash. Outside, the alien counterattack began in earnest. The once fragmented assault force now moved in cohesive waves, their craft emitting a low, ominous hum as they descended upon key strategic outposts. The initial impact was like a tidal wave, swift, unrelenting, and devastating. Explosions painted the icy landscape in bursts of incandescent fury, shattering the serene silence that had briefly settled after the first strike. Through the chaos, Elena maintained her composure. At her command station, she coordinated a series of desperate, yet ingenious, countermeasures. Divert power to the shield generators. Activate the decoy drones in the northern tunnels, she ordered, her voice slicing through the cacophony of alarms and combat chatter. Each command was a lifeline, an attempt to turn the enemy's momentum against itself. In the field, human forces grappled with the dual pressures of a high-tech enemy and their own resource limitations. Soldiers adapted quickly, transforming the inhospitable terrain into an advantage. They used the jagged ice formations as cover, setting up ambushes where alien sensors could be easily deceived by natural distortions in the environment. Engineers, working feverishly amid the chaos, rigged explosive traps along narrow passes, each improvised device a testament to human resilience and ingenuity. Yet, as the counterattack intensified, it became clear that the invaders were not simply reacting, they were recalibrating their strategy in real time. Communications intercepted from the alien fleet revealed Commander Vrotha's calculated vitriol. His messages, transmitted with chilling precision, berated the human defenders for their misguided efforts and futile resistance. Even across the vast gulf of space, his voice seemed to infiltrate the hearts of the beleaguered colonists, stirring doubts and fear. Amidst the clamor of battle, Elena found solace in moments of focused clarity. Every carefully orchestrated countermeasure, every risky maneuver was a reaffirmation that humanity was not as weak as the invaders believed. The tide of the counterattack began to ebb in subtle but significant ways. A misplaced alien formation here, a miscalculated orbital strike there. Each instance a crack in the veneer of alien invincibility. In one desperate skirmish on the ridge overlooking a shattered outpost, a squad of soldiers managed to disable a key alien sensor array. The ensuing blackout disrupted the enemy's coordinated barrage, giving the human forces a fleeting but critical advantage. In the midst of exploding debris and swirling dust, the commander's voice, resolute yet empathetic, resounded through the comms. "This is our moment. Every advantage counts." As the battle raged on into the bitter cold of Europa's night, Elena's strategy and the courage of her people began to turn the scales. The alien counterattack, though fierce and unyielding, was met with an equally tenacious human spirit, one that refused to be written off as fragile. Every clash, every tactical retreat, and every explosive countermeasure contributed to an unfolding saga of defiance against overwhelming odds. In the heart of the storm, the alien forces, so confident in their superiority, were forced to confront an unsettling truth. Human ingenuity, born from centuries of adaptation and struggle, was not so easily subdued. The counterattack, while initially devastating, was gradually transformed into a crucible for testing and refining the resistance. A fiery proving ground that would soon reshape the very essence of intergalactic conflict. And so, in the swirling vortex of combat and chaos, a new chapter of human resilience was being written, a chapter that would irrevocably alter the fate of Europa and challenge the very foundations of alien supremacy. Under a sky bruised with twilight, Europa's surface transformed into a theater of conflict. The relentless cold that once promised isolation now bore the scars of war, jagged fissures in the ice, trenches carved by the fury of battle, and the lingering glow of explosions that turned night into a fleeting, chaotic dawn. Every shard of frozen debris whispered a story of sacrifice and determination. Elena led her forces through a labyrinth of ice tunnels and narrow crevices, each step a calculated risk on this precarious battlefield. Here, ingenuity met desperation. Soldiers flanked enemy sensors hidden behind crystalline formations, and engineers rigged crude yet effective traps along the icy slopes. The biting wind carried not only the chill of Europa's endless winter, but also the resolute heartbeat of humanity fighting for survival. In one such pass, a skirmish erupted as human guerrilla fighters ambushed an advancing squad of alien drones. The clash was a dance of shadows and light, a ballet of desperate valor. Explosions lit up the dark caverns, casting fleeting silhouettes of men and machines locked in a struggle that defied the quiet, ancient ice. Amid the chaos, Elena's voice cut through the tumult, crisp and commanding. Hold the line. Use the ridge for cover and counterattack at my mark. Every moment on this frozen stage was a test of tactical brilliance and human endurance. As the battle raged, Elena moved like a conductor orchestrating a symphony of resistance. She directed units with precision, her eyes constantly scanning the horizon for the next opportunity to turn the enemy's advanced technology into a weakness. The alien invaders, though formidable, found themselves stymied by a terrain that was as unpredictable as it was unforgiving. In a narrow valley carved out by ancient glaciers, a critical encounter unfolded. A small squad, emboldened by recent victories, managed to encircle an alien patrol. The ensuing firefight was ferocious yet measured, a series of rapid exchanges where both sides fought with the knowledge that a single misstep could mean annihilation. Amid the echoing blasts and shattering ice, a soldier's shout, "For humanity," mingled with the cold static of alien communications, marking the battlefield with a raw, human cry of defiance. But it was not just brute force that defined the frozen battlefield. Moments of stillness, where the only sound was the whisper of wind over ice, allowed for introspection and strategy. In these interludes, Elena's mind raced through scenarios, her tactical acumen sharpened by the stakes of each decision. She recalled the faces of her people, each one a symbol of hope and resilience, and it spurred her on, even as exhaustion gnawed at her resolve. The bitter cold that enveloped the combat zone became an unlikely ally. The frigid environment slowed the alien technology, their sophisticated machinery sometimes faltering in the sub-zero conditions. This natural interference provided precious seconds, seconds in which human valor and creativity turned the tide. As a stray beam from a downed drone reflected off a prism of ice, it created a dazzling distraction that allowed a beleaguered unit to seize control of a key pass. In that critical moment, as chaos and order waged their silent war on Europa's frozen canvas, Elena realized that the battlefield was not just a contest of weapons and tactics. It was a crucible that would reveal the true nature of her people. Every burst of fire, every ingenious trap, and every whispered command echoed with the promise that even in the harshest conditions, the human spirit was unyielding. The frozen battlefield, with its ever-shifting terrain and perilous uncertainties, had become the proving ground for a species that refused to be defined by fragility. As the battle wore on, it was clear that in the interplay of ice and fire, of strategy and survival, a new legend was being forged, a legend that would forever alter the destiny of humanity in the stars. Under a sky roiling with cosmic fury, the final confrontation on Europa began to unfold like a long-anticipated reckoning. The once distant echoes of battle had gathered into a deafening crescendo as human and alien forces met head-on on the vast, frozen plain. In the heart of this chaos, the fate of a species was balanced on the edge of a sharpened blade. Amid swirling clouds of ice and debris, Elena stood resolute at the forefront of her assembled battalion. The frozen ground beneath her feet trembled with the force of relentless artillery and alien energy weapons. Every explosion cast stark, shifting shadows across the battlefield, etching the scars of conflict into the eternal ice. This was not a mere skirmish. It was the culmination of every whispered doubt and every defiant stand taken by humanity. High above the melee, amid the chaos of swirling energy and shattered defenses, Commander Vroth emerged as the personification of alien might. His towering form, draped in battle-worn armor that gleamed with a cold, unyielding light, cut an intimidating silhouette against the tumultuous horizon. His eyes, burning with a ruthless conviction, scanned the battlefield as if orchestrating a symphony of destruction. The alien commander's voice, deep and resonant, crackled over the comm channels, a taunt, a challenge, and an unspoken promise of annihilation. In that charged moment, as enemy and defender converged, the two leaders found themselves drawn together by the gravity of destiny. Across a narrow expanse of broken ice, Elena advanced steadily, her every step a testament to human resilience. She was a beacon of hope amid the swirling chaos, embodying the ingenuity and determination that had carried her people this far. At the same time, Vrotha's calculated strides brought him closer, his presence as inevitable as the tide. Their confrontation was inevitable. In the space between explosions and the rhythmic beat of combat, their eyes locked, a silent duel of wills that transcended the physical clash around them. "You presume too much," Vroth intoned, his voice low and edged with disdain, "believing that your feeble kind can defy the natural order of the cosmos." His words, laden with centuries of unchallenged supremacy, echoed across the fractured ice. Elena's gaze never wavered. "Strength is not measured by the height of your conquests, Commander," she replied, her tone calm yet unwavering, "but by the courage to stand against destiny, even when the odds are stacked against you." Her words, simple and resolute, cut through the ambient din of warfare, reverberating like a clarion call to every human soul fighting for their right to exist. As the dialogue of defiance played out, the battlefield itself seemed to hold its breath. Around them, the struggle for survival raged, a tapestry woven from the courage of soldiers, the brilliance of strategic minds, and the indomitable human spirit that refused to be confined by the limits of physical might. Every clash of weapons and burst of energy in the surrounding chaos underscored the raw reality of this moment. Here, on the frozen stage of Europa, the future of humanity would be decided. In a flash of lightning-like movement, the combatants clashed. Elena, with the agility born of countless battles against both nature and alien invaders, deflected an onslaught of energy strikes with a deft maneuver. Vroth countered with the full force of his technological might, each blow a calculated extension of his ancient, unyielding doctrine. The space between them was a whirlwind of sparks and fractured ice, a visual manifestation of their divergent ideologies colliding head-on. Around them, human fighters seized the opening provided by the titanic duel. The chaotic interplay between order and destruction allowed Elena's forces to press their advantage, rallying in a flurry of coordinated strikes that pushed the alien ranks back. Yet, every success was hard-earned. The ground was soaked with the sacrifices of those who had given everything for a future free of subjugation. As the battle raged, Elena and Vrotha's confrontation became a symbol, a microcosm of the larger war where ideas clashed as violently as plasma beams. Each parry and thrust carried the weight of centuries of interstellar prejudice and the hope of rewriting an unjust narrative. In the midst of that luminous storm of conflict, Elena's unwavering spirit radiated as a promise that humanity, once deemed weak, would rise to challenge the very laws of fate. When at last the furious exchange reached a climax, a pivotal moment occurred, a brief, suspended heartbeat where the outcome of the duel, and indeed the battle itself, hung in the balance. In that charged silence, Elena's voice broke through the tension one final time. "Today, we redefine strength." Her words, simple yet profound, resonated with every living soul on the battlefield, fueling a renewed surge of determination among her comrades. The clash of titanic wills, echoing in every fragment of ice and every burst of light, marked the turning point of the conflict. In that decisive moment, the cosmos itself seemed to affirm that the power of unity and the relentless human spirit could challenge even the mightiest of foes. And as the forces of resistance surged forward, the duel between Elena and Vroth became the beacon around which the future of Europa, and perhaps the entire galaxy, would be reshaped. As the swirling chaos of battle finally yielded to an eerie stillness, Europa's icy expanse began to transform under the first light of a new dawn. The shattered remnants of alien technology lay scattered across the frozen plains, intermingled with the resolute footprints of human valor. Amid the lingering echoes of conflict, a palpable sense of both relief and resolve filled the air, a promise of rebirth from the crucible of war. Elena Ramirez, her uniform stained with the marks of struggle, stood amidst the debris of what once was an all-consuming fight. The confrontation with Commander Vroth had ended in a decisive, albeit costly, victory that reverberated far beyond the boundaries of the outpost. The alien menace, now in retreat, had left behind not just ruined defenses, but a transformed human spirit, one that had proven beyond doubt that the essence of strength was born from resilience, creativity, and an indomitable will to survive. In the command hub, makeshift memorials took shape as survivors gathered to honor the fallen. Faces etched with grief and determination mingled with those lit by hope. Hushed conversations filled the corridors, each recounting acts of courage and sacrifice that had defied expectations. The dark irony of a species once deemed weak now shone in every shared smile and tear, a living testament to humanity's capacity to rise, adapt, and overcome. The air buzzed with a sense of cautious optimism as teams moved to repair and rebuild. Engineers and scientists, whose ingenuity had repeatedly turned the tide, now set their sights on constructing not just defenses, but a future where unity and perseverance would be the cornerstones of a renewed society. In quiet, determined groups, plans were drawn up to harness Europa's natural resources, ensuring that the scars of war would nurture rather than hinder the rebirth of a community forged in the fires of adversity. Outside, the first rays of Europa's pale sun broke over the horizon, casting a soft glow that warmed the frozen wasteland and, in turn, the hearts of those who had fought for every breath. Elena, standing at a reinforced viewport, surveyed the transformed landscape. The battlefield, once a grim testament to destruction, was now a canvas upon which a new order was being carefully, deliberately painted. A future where humanity would no longer be measured by past prejudices, but by the unyielding spirit that had carried them through the darkest hours. In the lingering silence that followed, a collective understanding emerged among the survivors. The war had been won, but the journey to redefine their identity on the galactic stage was only beginning. Each human being in the outpost carried within them a spark that, when nurtured by unity and purpose, promised to ignite a beacon of hope for generations to come. The lessons of struggle, sacrifice, and innovation would forever resonate as the guiding principles of this new era. As the colony's leaders gathered one final time to reaffirm their commitment to a future built on solidarity rather than division, Elena's eyes met those of her comrades. There was no need for grand declarations. The unspoken bond of shared experience was enough. In that moment, under the tender glow of a reborn dawn, humanity was no longer defined by its perceived weaknesses but celebrated for its relentless courage and the extraordinary power of unity. And so, as the light of a new day stretched across the horizon, the story of Europa and its people reached its destined conclusion, a conclusion that heralded not an end, but the beginning of an era marked by resilience, transformation, and the enduring promise of hope.